And they will become really, frankly, bit part players. Now, they won't like that. And that's probably what this is all about, making sure.
Have you ever wondered if the entire concept of celebrity luxury branding is built on a house of cards, ready to tumble with a single unexpected gust of authenticity? Forget the carefully cultivated images and the multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns. A quiet revolution just unfolded in a celebrity kitchen, one that saw a royal-adjacent lifestyle guru, absolutely outmaneuvered by a football legend, armed with nothing but a backyard plum tree, and a label maker. This isn't merely about jam. It's a stunning, unexpected cultural dethroning that Meghan Markle, with all her strategic planning, never saw coming, exposing the raw nerve of what audiences truly crave in an era saturated with manufactured aspiration.
A presence, a brand to monetize, because pretty soon they're not going to be able to get as much money out of being royal.
The internet absolutely exploded with the stark, brutal contradiction when a single Twitter user capturing the collective sentiment declared, "Meghan tried to outgoop Gwyneth. Beckham just outjammed Meghan with one pun." This wasn't some niche observation. That comment alone racked up an astonishing 40,000 likes in a single afternoon, a clear sign of the cultural zeitgeist shifting. Meghan's as ever preserves were presented as an almost sacred artifact, meticulously arranged with delicate dried flower sprinkles, a brand identity curated to project an image of effortless nobility in the kitchen. Yet when Victoria Beckham suggested her husband was now an entrepreneur, David simply laughed, shrugging off the label with a chuckle. That spontaneous moment of genuine humility, that outright refusal to take it all too seriously, was precisely the magic ingredient that made people fall head over heels for Beckham. As one BBC radio commentator playfully quipped, he's finally won his first kitchen trophy. The irony for Meghan is palpable and inescapable for all her painstaking efforts to transform jam into an aspirational status symbol. Beckham, without even trying, made it funny, approachable, and undeniably authentic. This wasn't just a battle of preserves. It was a showdown between sterile branding and genuine banter. And in the unforgiving court of public opinion, banter emerged as the undisputed champion, signaling a deeper ripple effect that would soon spread across industries, fans, and even the hallowed halls of Hollywood itself.
And, they're making a huge noise at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, he undoubtedly will. He'll be a bald 50-year-old prince that, a gentleman, someone formerly known as Prince. That's what he will.
The question then becomes, how did a simple jar of plum preserves inadvertently ignite such a royal-sized identity crisis? And what does this bizarre yet utterly compelling showdown truly reveal about the precarious future of celebrity branding itself? While David Beckham found himself unexpectedly celebrated as the accidental jam king, basking in the glow of genuine public affection, Meghan Markle was plunged into a far harsher reality, a rapidly escalating brand credibility crisis. For someone who has meticulously constructed her entire post-royal identity around the pillars of lifestyle branding and a carefully curated authenticity, being so publicly undercut by a few jars of homemade plum preserves was not merely embarrassing. It was, in a very real sense, existential. Reports from outlets like the Daily Mail suggested Meghan was far from amused by the comparisons, with sources close to her inner circle hinting that she perceived the internet's obsession with Beckham as unfairly trivializing her earnest efforts. To her, as ever, was never just about jam. It was the foundational cornerstone of her ambitious, larger-than-life endeavor to build a Gwyneth Paltrow-esque goop empire. Yet, it was precisely this perceived seriousness that fueled the public's doubling down. On TikTok, viral clips starkly contrasting Meghan's immaculately arranged, dried, flower-adorned jars with Beckham's charmingly handwritten labels exploded under the caption, "One's curated, one's cultured," racking up over 1 million views in just 24 hours, with comments proving absolutely ruthless. One user's cutting remark, "Meghan made jam feel like homework. Beckham made it feel like brunch," perfectly encapsulated the sentiment. This deepening contradiction highlighted an undeniable truth. Meghan's brand was meant to embody quiet luxury, artisanal, understated, and rare, but as industry insiders, like branding analyst Amanda Lockwood, bluntly told Variety, "You can't manufacture charm," and Beckham has it in spades. Meghan tried to elevate jam into a status symbol, Beckham made jam into a joke, and people loved him for it. This stinging industry critique reframed Meghan's product, not as high-end, but as overtly, almost painfully, overproduced, striking at the very core of her brand's perceived value.
Journalists in America who were saying how we love a kind of boy or girl done good. And the fact that for Harry and Meghan for a very long time, a lot of the stories have been negative and around, well, we felt badly.
The online frenzy quickly escalated far beyond simple laughter. Fans were actively weaponizing memes, transforming the jam war into a full-blown cultural moment. On X, formerly Twitter, side-by-side photos of Meghan's pristine, stylized jars next to Beckham's rustic, hand-labeled plums were captioned with sardonic brilliance. The Queen of England versus the King of England we actually wanted. Other users resurrected old, often biting, jokes about Meghan's seemingly incessant obsession with Hollywood aesthetics, gleefully pointing out the stunning irony that a former footballer, armed with nothing more than a simple label maker, had effortlessly managed to outshine her meticulously planned, multi-million-dollar PR campaigns. The collective online shrug wasn't just about fruit preserves. It was a resounding public declaration about Meghan's entire image of perpetually trying too hard. But the most devastating blows didn't originate from anonymous trolls. They came from the hallowed halls of mainstream commentary. The Telegraph, a respected national newspaper, ran a piece that audaciously crowned Beckham the most authentic influencer alive, while The Guardian, with its characteristic dry wit, quipped that Beck Jam was the cultural moment Meghan Markle didn't want. These weren't mere gossip blogs, these were influential, respected outlets, effectively anointing Beckham as the more credible and relatable lifestyle figure. For Meghan, who had staked her entire post-royal credibility on the As Ever brand, this seismic shift in public and media perception wasn't just deeply uncomfortable, it was genuinely dangerous. The chilling implication was clear: if a single, accidental batch of plum jam could so swiftly destabilize her carefully constructed brand, what would be the fallout when skeptical Hollywood investors and crucial lifestyle backers inevitably started asking the truly hard questions about her long-term viability?
And when there's the Sussexes, because they've done their branding for their two children. She's writing a diary entry every night to Archie and Lilibet. I wonder what that's for, the diary of Archie and Lilibet. I don't know, it's nice.
Whispers had already begun circulating, darkly suggesting that Meghan's inner circle was privately seething with frustration over the narrative's rapid, uncontrollable slippage. And indeed, every new meme, every cutting late-night joke, and every fresh headline about Beck Jam only tightened the metaphorical vice around her brand. The critical question suddenly wasn't merely whether Meghan's jam could compete on the market, but whether her entire ambitious lifestyle brand could even survive the sheer public humiliation. Beneath the surface of the memes and the mockery, something far more serious and strategically damaging was unfolding. For Meghan Markle, these relentless jam comparisons transcended mere inconvenience. They struck with surgical precision at the very heart of her entire post-royal project, the carefully constructed edifice of her new identity. According to reports in Page 6, her PR advisors immediately flagged Beck Jam as an acute and undeniable reputational threat. The true danger wasn't that David Beckham might steal her market share. He wasn't even selling his jam. Instead, his casual, humorous, and utterly unpretentious approach ruthlessly exposed the artificiality and the heavily curated facade of Meghan's own brand. Insiders claimed that discussions within her exclusive Montecito circle grew undeniably tense. She thought she could own the artisanal space, one branding consultant confided to The Sun, but Beckham accidentally turned it into a punchline and the public sided with him. This insight was particularly stinging because it laid bare a brutal truth. Meghan's As Ever empire was entirely predicated on audiences taking her seriously, a belief that Beckham's simple, self-deprecating pun effectively shattered, suggesting they perhaps never truly did. Meanwhile, Beckham himself, with an almost preternatural instinct, leaned into his newfound authenticity in the most unexpected and powerful way imaginable by steadfastly refusing to capitalize on it. In an Instagram story shared by Victoria, when a fan enthusiastically suggested he should start selling Beck Jam, David merely laughed, declaring, "No chance, it's just for us." That offhand, genuinely spontaneous remark only served to deepen the profound contrast. Cementing the public's perception, Meghan had meticulously transformed jam into a calculated business plan, while Beckham, with effortless grace, had simply turned it into a cherished family moment.
Those two will be, and they've got all their branding around that, they will be something that they will be able to monetize. And unfortunately about the Sussexes, I just call them H&M, because I don't believe they should have the title, is all about the money.
As branding expert Marcus Grant astutely observed to Variety, in an era where discerning audiences have developed a profound allergy to anything that smacks of over-marketing, true authenticity isn't something you actively sell, it's what you conspicuously *** sell. And the uncomfortable revelations surrounding Meghan's brand didn't stop there. Shrewd observers quickly began drawing unsettling parallels between the meticulously orchestrated rollout of Meghan's jam and her broader, well-documented history of heavily produced, high-profile ventures. Her multi-million-dollar Netflix specials, the now-defunct Spotify deals, the staged magazine covers. Each project, despite being framed as lifestyle-defining, had been plagued by persistent questions of genuine substance and organic connection. The jam saga thus became a potent, undeniable metaphor, as one viral Reddit thread succinctly put it. If she can't make jam feel real, how can she make anything feel real? Even within the notoriously fickle corridors of Hollywood, the whispers grew undeniably louder. Commentators began openly speculating that Meghan's brand investors were growing increasingly uneasy, with reports suggesting some crucial financial backers harbored genuine worries that her nascent empire might be irrevocably sliding into the realm of outright parody.
The King removed the Sussexes titles from Harry and Meghan, and 91% said absolutely.
I agree with
Wow,
it.
that's...
You agree with that,
I
Rob?
agree with it.
Do you?
I think because they've disobeyed the HRH and they've flaunted that. They're now talking about, oh, I'm Meghan Sussex. Well, you're slightly, taking the mickey out of the royal family. You're not. You wanted that.
After all, when satirical late-night hosts are gleefully cracking jokes about the dried flower sprinkles on your luxury jam jars, it becomes an almost impossible task to maintain any semblance of gravitas or serious intent. And with David Beckham, a man who never even intended to be in the lifestyle branding game, now universally hailed as the effortlessly authentic alternative, Meghan's carefully constructed credibility was visibly eroding in real time. Yet perhaps the most profoundly damaging revelation didn't come from critics or competitors, but directly from the fans themselves. Dozens of users began posting screenshots of Meghan's exorbitantly priced jam jars, not on official retail sites, but shamefully listed on resale platforms, some commanding an absurd $200, openly mocking the sheer desperation of the exclusivity. In stark, almost poetic contrast, Beck Jam was deemed utterly priceless, precisely because it was not and never would be for sale. This exquisite irony completely flipped the traditional power dynamic. Meghan's forced exclusivity suddenly appeared desperate and grasping, while Beckham's genuine unavailability radiated an undeniable magnetic authenticity. The jam war was no longer merely about who crafted the superior product. It had evolved into a far more significant battle over who represented the better, more compelling story. And in the cutthroat modern celebrity marketplace, story is quite literally everything. Meghan's narrative was visibly unraveling, thread by thread, while Beckham's, through sheer happenstance, was effortlessly writing itself anew. By the time the Beck Jam memes infiltrated late-night television, Meghan Markle's aspirational jam brand had definitively crossed an invisible yet profoundly impactful line, transitioning from a fleeting cultural curiosity to an undeniable, widely embraced cultural punchline. Comedians on The Late Show quipped that David Beckham had finally beaten royalty in the jam aisle, while Saturday Night Live writers reportedly couldn't resist the temptation, sketching out a parody segment where a fake Meghan solemnly handed out jars to A-list friends as if bestowing state secrets. The irony was inescapable and brutal. The more Meghan desperately tried to preserve her dignity and control the narrative, the more the internet mercilessly boiled her efforts down to a singular hilarious joke. Fans leaned into this with gusto. On TikTok, a particularly viral audio remix, brilliantly cut between Meghan's glossy, polished promotional photos and a clip of Beckham genuinely laughing with Victoria, powerfully captioned PR versus plum reality. The soundbite of him casually saying, "No, I'm not an entrepreneur," became an iconic meme in its own right, used in thousands of videos mocking overly serious, self